Hi, and welcome to the video Spring Boot OAuth2 Social Login with Google. With me, Nam Ming from CodeJava.net. Through this video, you will learn how to implement social login using Google for an existing Spring Boot application. In other words, how to develop a function that allows the users to log into the application using their own Google account, in addition to traditional username and password authentication. Social login is very common in modern web applications. And after successful OAuth2 authentication, I will share with you how to update, how to register a new user if the user has not been registered in the database, and how to update existing user if the user was already registered in the database. Suppose that we have an existing Spring Boot application in which we already implemented the login function. As you can see, the customer login form here. And now we want to add another function that allows the user to log in using their own Google account. Login with Google here. And when the user clicks the login with Google hyperlink, the sign with Google user interface appears, allowing the user to log into our Spring Boot application using their own Google account without the need to register a new user in our Spring Boot application. So the users, we have two options: login using traditional username and password, and login using their own Google account. Let me show you an existing Spring Boot application in my computer in Spring 2.3 IDE here. This is a Submit Frontend project, and let me start this application. And as you can see in the Spring Boot application configuration file, the application is configured to be running in embedded Tomcat server listening on port 80, with the context path is /submit here. Now the application is up and running. I will access the Submit application in Chrome browser. Localhost /submit here. And you can see the user can choose to log in into the application here. Click login. And currently, we allow the user to log in using their own account registered in the website, email, and password here. With this traditional authentication, the user must register an account first here. Now let me log in with an account already registered in the website here. You see, you can see the username Vu Xuân Hồng here, and log out. And in the next few minutes, I will show you how to implement social login using Google, allowing the user to log in into our Spring Boot application using their own Google account instead of using email and password, and so that the user can log in immediately without the need to register a new user account, which may take time. So we will be working on a Java project using the following key technologies: Spring Boot Web for web application, Spring Data JPA for the data access layer with Hibernate framework, Spring Security to implement traditional username and password authentication, and the most important technology is Spring OAuth2 client in this video, because we are going to implement the social login with Google, and Timeleaf as a template engine, Bootstrap and jQuery in the view layer, and MySQL database. And to help you understand the process, the workflow of the social login function with Google, I draw this diagram. Suppose that a user is in the login page, and he can choose the login method he wishes. If he already registered in the website, he can enter username and password to log in using the traditional way the application will process login with database. And in case he wants to log in using his own Google account, the application will process login using OAuth2. And upon successful OAuth2 authentication, the application will check if the user is new or not. In case the user is new, he has not been registered in the application's database, the application will automatically register the new user. Otherwise, the user was already registered in the database, the application just updates the existing users with the information provided by Google. So that's the workflow, very clear and simple, right? And to follow this video, make sure that you have installed these software programs on your computer: Java Development Kit or JDK, Spring Boot OAuth2 IDE, SDS, MySQL Database Server, and MySQL Workbench. So here are the steps which we need to follow in this video. First, we need to create a Google OAuth credentials to be used in the application. And then we need to configure Spring Security OAuth2 client dependency. And then we need to update the database table and entity class to add a new column that stores the information about authentication provider. And then we need to update the login page that allows the user to choose to log in using their Google account. And we need to code the custom OAuth user class and OAuth user service class. And we need to configure Spring Security for OAuth2 authentication and implement authentication success handler and update the CustomerServices class to register new user or updating existing user upon successful OAuth2 authentication. Now I'm going to show you how to create a new Google OAuth credentials which is required to implement a social login. So make sure that you have logged into your Google account and head to console.developers.google.com. This is the homepage of Google Console for developers. And if you don't have any project, create a new project here. For example, I enter the project name is ShopMe project and click create. Okay, and now I'm in the current project is ShopMe project here, and we need to configure OAuth consent screen here. OAuth consent screen is a screen in which the user will see when he or she choose to log in using their own Google account. So we choose the user type here is external, available to any user with a Google account, and click create. Enter the application name is ShopMe application. That's it, very simple. And by default, Google will allows the application to access this information: email, profile, and open ID here. That's it. Just click save. And then go to the credentials section here. And to create credentials here, choose OAuth client ID here. And choose the application type is web application. Name ShopMe client. And here we need to specify the authorized redirect URI here. This is a URI which Google, we redirect the users after successful authentication. So we specify the URL of our application on localhost is localhost and /submit slash login slash OAuth2 slash code slash Google. This is a default direct URI for social login with Google. Note that the path after the application context is /login /OAuth2 /code /Google. That's it, and click create. Okay, we got our Google OAuth client created, and we can use the client ID and client secret in our application to implement social login with Google. Now, come back to the Spring Boot project, and we need to declare the dependency for a Spring OAuth2 client in the form.xml file here. Yeah, we need to declare a new dependency to use Spring Boot OAuth2 library to implement social login. Group ID is Spring Boot. Spring framework boot, and artifact ID is Spring boot starter OAuth2 clan. So this is a dependency we need to add to the project to use Spring OAuth2 clan API to implement social login. And you can see Maven we automatically download the required Jar files for Spring OAuth2 client. Here you see Spring Security OAuth2 core, Spring Security OAuth2 zones here. And then we need to declare some properties in the Spring Boot application configuration file. Here in this project, I'm using the format YAML here, so it provides more readable configuration. So in the Spring section here, we declare security and OAuth2. Yeah, we can see a list of suggestions here. We choose client registration here, and Google is a registration ID and client ID. Yeah, for the value of the client ID, we copy the client ID code in the OAuth credentials which we have created before here. Click copy here and paste here, and client secret here, and we also copy the code of the client secret here. Client secret is a private key, and we specify the scope is email and profile, and that's it. This is a minimum configuration to implement social login using Google. We use the default direct URI. The default direct URI we specify here, You see, login /OAuth2/code/Google. So far, we have created Google OAuth credentials and configure Spring security for OAuth2 client. And next, we need to update the database table and entity class to add a new column that stores the information about authentication provider. So this is my SQL workbench on my computer, and this is a database SubmitDB, which is used by the applications, and this is a customers table here. And for the customer login function with social login using Google, we need to add a new column in this table. So right click on the table and add a new column here. The name of the column is auth_provider Vacha. For example, Vacha length is 15 characters. Okay, click apply. Finish. Let's select all rows from this table, and you can see some rows for customers here. And now the values in the column auth_provider is all null here. And let's update the entity class customer accordingly in the project. So I have a separate project that contains entity classes here, the class customer here, and we need to declare new field in this class to map with the column we have created in the customers table here. And first we need to create an enumeration type in Java. So create a new enum here. Name is Authentication provider. And in this enum, we just have two values local, which means authentication using username and password in the local database, and authentication using Google. That's it. And in the customer entity class here, we use a enumerated annotation in JPA to map a column with an enumerated type in Java. We specify enum type is string here, and the column is column name is auth_provider, and value of this field is string. Private string. Provide with authentication provider. Value of this field is the enum type authentication provider auth provider. That's it. And the getter and setter methods for this field. So right click here, source generate getter and setters, and click choose generate getter and setter for auth provider field here. That's it. And next, we need to update the login page to add the hyperlink login with Google that allows the user to choose to log in using their Google account. Okay, so come back to the project and open the login page. Template login HTML here. And under the heading of the login page, we add a hyperlink to allow the user to click to log in using their Google account. I use the heading for a tag for hyperlink and login with OAuth. And the URL of the hyperlink is we use timeless syntax /href OAuth2 slash authorization slash OAuth. So this URL we redirect the user to the sign-in with Google page provided by Google OAuth application. The URL is slash OAuth2 slash authorization slash Google. And now let's start the application. And back to our Chrome browser. So me here. This is the home page and click login. And this is a login page, and you can see the hyperlink login with Google here. Let's try to click. And you can see we got an error here. Don't worry. I will show you how to implement the code. And next, we need to code a custom OAuth user class and OAuth user service class to remain social login with OAuth2 authentication. So in the project, I create a new package here. com.site.security and .OAuth and create a new class. Here, the name of the class is custom OAuth2 user. Finish. It's better to stop the application because we are going to write a lot of code, and in this class it should implement the OAuth2 user interface here to represent user object after successful OAuth authentication. And click here to add unimplemented methods, and we'll hold a reference to OAuth2 user object here, OAuth2 user, OAuth2 user, and generate a constructor using that field. Just generate constructor using fields here. Choose OAuth2 user field here. The purpose of using this custom OAuth2 user class is to provide an object represents a logged in user. So here, very simple. For this method, we just return OAuth2 user dot add attributes, and this add authorities return OAuth2 user dot get authorities. And for the get name method, we return OAuth2 user get attributes here, and the attribute is name. So this is the most important method in this class that returns the name of the user or the name of the Google account. Okay, and next we need to create another custom OAuth user service class. So create a new class here. Name of the class is custom OAuth2 user service. and this class extends the default OAuth2 user service, and we need to override method, override implement method, and choose to override the load user method here to return a custom object, custom OAuth2 user object. So here we assign the return value of the super load user here to OAuth2, custom, OAuth2 user equal, and we return a new custom OAuth2 user, wrapping the OAuth2 user object. Yeah, that's it. This is the purpose of the custom OAuth2 user service that returns the custom OAuth2 user. Yeah, upon successful authentication. And next we come to the most important part, that is to configure Spring security for OAuth2 authentication. So we open the web security config. This here Spring security configuration file, and declare a new field for the custom OAuth2 user service, private custom OAuth2 user service here, OAuth2 user service, and have this field auto-wire by Spring Framework. And in the configure HTTP security method here, we configure the request matches here to allow OAuth2 URL and matches. The pattern is OAuth2 slash, because in the login form we use this URL here, and we allow we permit all for this kind of URLs to enable OAuth authentication processing, going through the Spring security filter. And after the form login section here, we configure OAuth2 login here, dot OAuth2 login, and we configure login page is the same login page as the form login above here, and we specify user info endpoint here to the user service class, which is the OAuth2 service instance here, and we have two end here. First end is for the OAuth2 login. Okay, now we can start our application to test. But before that, let me check start application first, and in the header of the page I display the name of the login user using this property full name here. You see principal.full name here. So in our custom OAuth2 user class, we need to implement the get full name method here. Public string get full name, and we also return the attribute named from the OAuth2 user. And in the console view, we got an error here. Let's see what is the error. Sorry, for the user service class here, we need to annotate this with the service annotation, so it can be auto-wired by Spring Framework. Now let's start the application again. Okay, so far so good. The application is up and running without any errors. Home page. Click login. I try to log in normally using username and password for this user. Okay, I can log in successfully using local username and password. You can see the username Vu Xuân Hồng here. Log out. And now let me try to log in with Google. First, I need to log out from my Google account here. Sign out. Okay, click login with Google here. And you can see this is a consent screen, OAuth consent screen, sign with Google. That allows the user to log in using their Google account here. Now I choose to log in with user Nam Hà Minh here. Click next. And we got an error. Let's see. What is the error? You can see the property full name cannot be found on object type. Shop me OAuth2 customer OAuth2 user. Let me see. That means the OAuth2 authentication with Google has been successfully, but the application failed to display the full name. Here, full name. So in the customer OAuth2 user class, here I need to change that full name here. Okay. Okay, now refresh the home page. Need to log in again. Log in with Google. And now I have logged in successfully using my Google account. And you can see my Google username Nam Hà Minh appears here. That is because in the view I use this syntax to display the full name, and we implement the custom OAuth2 user to just write the full name based on the attribute name from the OAuth2 user object returned by Spring OAuth2 authentication. Now I log out and I log in with another Google account. But you see it automatically logged me in because I'm still logged in a Google account. Now I go to Google and Gmail here, Google here, and sign out. And it will show the consent screen. Now log in with Google. Here you see, now I can choose another account. Now I choose the account code Java here. And as you can see, it in the consent screen, it displays the application name, which is the name of the we specify in the OAuth consent screen submit application here. Click here to choose user code Java. Next. And you can see I have successfully logged in with my Google account code Java into this Spring Boot application. You see, perfect, right? So far, we have implemented the login process using OAuth2 with Google. The users can be able to log in using their Google accounts successfully. And now let's update the workflow upon successful OAuth2 authentication. The application checks if the user is new or not, meaning that the customer information is available in the database or not. If not, we register new user. In the application, we insert customers information into the customers table in the database in case the users log in using Google and their information doesn't exist in the database. Otherwise, in case the user already registered in the database, we just updating the existing user, update the first name of the user here. So we use the email as the key to look up, to check if the customer is registered or not based on the email. So come back to our project, and we need to create a new class here. New class name is OAuth2 login success handler. And we have this class extends the symbol URL authentication success handler. Yeah. And we override method on authentication success here. This method will be invoked by Spring Security upon successful OAuth authentication. So now we just get the email of the logged in user here. As you can see in the method arguments, there's an object authentication here. So we get the custom OAuth2 user object here. OAuth2 user equal authentication get principal, and we need to cast a returned object to custom OAuth2 user here. And we need to get the email of the user. So update the custom OAuth2 user class here. Get email method publishing get email here, and we return the attribute email in the OAuth2 user object here. Get attribute email. Yeah, we get the email string email equal OAuth2 user email, and we just print the email here. Email customers email yeah. Now we can test the we need to configure Spring security here to use that custom OAuth login success handler. So we declare private OAuth2 login success handler here. Login OAuth2 login success handler have this field authorized by Spring Framework. And here in the method configure HTTP security here, OAuth2 login here, after the end here, success handler here, and we pass an instance of OAuth2 login success handler here. That's it for the configuration. So Spring Security, we invoke the method on authentication success upon successful authentication, and from this we can implement the logic to identify if the customer is new or not. Oh, we got an error in the console view here. Sorry. For this login success handler, we need to use annotation component. So Spring Framework, we can inject an instance of this class into the Spring Security. Okay, the application has been restarted without any errors. Now let's test home page, login with Google. I know that I'm currently logging in my Google account with the username code Java, and you can see I have successfully logged into this application, and it displays the username code Java here. Let's see what is printed in the console view, and you can see in the console view it prints customers email codejava.net@gmail.com here. That means the login success handler was successfully invoked here. Now let me log out and log in using another Google account. And need to sign out from this Google account, and now log in with Google. And now this time I choose this email, Nam Hà Minh. Next. Successfully, and you can see it shows my username Nam Hà Minh here. And let's see in the console view, it prints customer's email nam.javaprogrammer@gmail.com here. Perfect. And now let's update the customer services class to implement the method that registers a new customer upon successful OAuth2 authentication. If the customer's information was not available in the database, is not available in the database. So here in this success handler, we need to have an instance of customer services here, customer services, and have this field auto by Spring Framework. And this is a customer services class that implements business logic for the customer functionality. Okay, and first we need to check if the customer with this email exists or not in the database. So we call customer equal customer service. We have the method get customer by email here, and this method will return a customer object if the email is found in the customer's table here, email of the customer here. So we check if customer is no, then we register as a new customer. Else we update existing customer. So that's the workflow. That's the workflow here. Yeah, you see. Customer services, create new customer after OAuth login success, and create this method in the customer services class. Yeah, and we need to have some parameters, which is the email, name, and authentication provider information, which is an enum, we created in the beginning of this video provider. That's it. And here we create a new customer object. Set email, set first name is the name, Last name is no. Set enabled. True. Customer set created time. This is example code. It may vary depending on the application. New date and time. New date. Set created time. New date object. And set auth provider is a authentication provider in the method parameter here. Then we call the repository method and customer report here. Save customer. And in the success handler here, we need to pass the parameters for email and name. Name is string name equal OAuth2 user get name and provider is Google authentication provider .google. Yeah, that's it. So can get the idea. Okay, let's save the changes and we are ready to test. In case the customer has logged in successfully using the Google account, but the email doesn't exist in the customer table, the application, we automatically insert a new row here. So let me select all rows from this customer table first, and you can see no email with name Java programmer. Okay, now let me log in. Now I log in with my Google account name Java programmer, Nam Hà Minh, and I have logged in successfully without any error. Now let's check the database. And you can see a new customer row has been inserted here with the email name Java programmer. Password is no because this customer has logged in using the Google account. First name is the full name Nam Hà Minh. You can see other fields are no because the information was not provided by Google. And you can see created time enable to, and you can see the column auth underscore driver has a value Google here. That means this customer has been authenticated by Google. Yeah, perfect, right? So that completes the process or register new user here. And lastly, I am going to show you the code that updates the existing customer. If the customer has logged into the website and using their Google account and their email is found in the customer table here, the application will update the information like first name and authentication provider. Okay, customer services, and the method is update customer after OAuth login success, and we also pass customer object here, customer object name, and authentication provider is Google, and we create this method in the customer services class. Yeah. The customer object here is returned from the database if a customer is found with the given email here, in case the customer object here is not null. Okay, so in this method we just update the first name is a name returned by Google, and set the authentication provider is authentication provider here, provider. That's it. And call the repository method customer repo save customer. That's it. Now in the database you can see there's existing customer with the email hina2@gmail.com here. First name Vu, last name Xuân Hồng, and now let me try to log in into the application with Google account having that email. I need to sign out from the current Google account. Sign out. Now log in with Google. Now I choose to log in with another account, and I enter the email hina2@gmail.com. This email address is registered for this customer here in the database. Next. Now I enter the password. Okay, I'm successfully logged in, and let me check the database. Here, I refresh, and you can see the customer with email hina2 here, and you can see his first name was updated to Nam Ha Minh here, which is the username Nam Ha Minh here, and the other fields were not updated. And you can see the authentication provider has been updated to Google here. So that gives you the idea how to update the user information after successful OAuth authentication to complete this workflow. You see. Perfect. So far you have learned how to implement social login using Google for an existing Spring Boot application. You know, social login is very common for modern web applications. And you also learn how to implement the success handler to register a new user or update existing user. I hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe and then like, comment and share this video. Thank you.